Oh, that's interesting. Oh, now suddenly it's working. Why? Huh. Wasn't working a second ago. Now it's working. Okay, that's good. All right, I see some people are trickling in, streaming through, hopping in and out. Hello, Bobcat. All right, let's see. Okay, we've got one there. Do 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 do. And one last thing to turn on. All this technology. Oh, humanity. Oh, technology. If anyone knows what I'm paraphrasing, I'll be very, very impressed. Oh, Danny coming on and starting with a heart me. Excellent. Hello, Danny. Good to see you. And what's good about the heart me's is that you get points for clicking on them. So once you click on the heart me, then just the thing that comes up, the screen that comes up next, look down it, because as you accomplish tasks, you'll actually get more points for joining the fan club and doing all that good stuff. And I see that a few people have come by. Looks like Lean Leanief. That's did I read that right? Leanief. And tonight we're gonna try to see if we can find Smart Mega. Hello, Danny. Good to see you. It's a lofty goal. We're gonna see if we can find Smart Megas. Okay. Just checking on all the technology. Vicky is here. Hello, Vicky. I'm going to start bringing everybody up shortly, but we need to get those likes up to just be recognized, because apparently you have to have 1,000 likes before TikTok even considers whether to push you out to the masses or not. So that's interesting. So, keep tapping that screen. Optimistic, hello, good to see you. Well, this is fun. This is fun having people come in and I recognize their names and their frequent flyers with my live and other people's lives that I know. This is great. I love this little community that we've created. So let's see. Okay. Oh, we're getting there. We're halfway there. We're at 550 likes. Keep it going, folks. Keep it going. This is exciting stuff. Let's see. So we've got Pam here. Who else is here? A few other people have stopped in. Danny's doing his sharing of the live, which he does so well. That's spectacular. And we've got Robert has joined us as well. Kem Denali? Denali, is that it? He came in and checked out. So we are looking for the answer to the question, are there smart MAGAs? I believe there are. I believe there just has to be smart MAGAs out there. So we're going to find out tonight. I'm going to invite them up, but before I do, I'm going to talk to them and just sort of lay the groundwork for how I want to have a conversation with them. Hello, Doris. Hello, Nemo. Nemo or Nemo, not sure. Hello, welcome. Because I believe that what Abraham Lincoln said was true about how we must be friends, even though things divide us. let's try to be friends. That's a very bad paraphrasing of what Lincoln said, but let me see if I can find that. It's that great speech he gave about the better angels of our nature. I'm going to find it because I believe it was at the end of uh, of his inaugural address. Alpha Dude, I'm not sure of too much. But I think there are probably smart magas out there. Why not? Why not assume that and see what happens? But anyway, let's just see. Let's see what happens. All right, so I am about to look up a Lincoln quote. Okay, so Lincoln quote, better angels of our nature. I happen to love this speech. I mean, the whole inauguration is interesting because Lincoln was basically trying to keep America out of a civil war. All right, and let's see. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here we go. Okay, so this is a speech from Lincoln that I absolutely love, and we've gotten over 1,000 likes. We're at 1350, so I'm bringing Danny up. Hello, Danny. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Professor. How you doing?
I'm excellent. So, you know, how'd you sleep last night after that amazing and triumphant evening that you had? Were you able to finally wind down and sleep very well, or did something else happen?
Uh, I was bad last night. I got on a couple more lives, and I was on live at 2 o'clock last night, this morning,
All
and
right,
Grandma was not happy. So, uh, but it was an amazing day, and it was an amazing night, and I couldn't thank the participants, the chat, my friends that gifted me the 108,000 likes, almost 109.
amazing.
I was totally shocked. So, again, if you haven't seen my video today, friends, I thanked you personally on the TikTok streets, and I hope you come and see me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific for Keep Them Accountable with Grandpa Danny. We're going to be doing current events and what's going on in our great divided country.
There you
So.
go. And Vicky wants to know the same thing that I do, which is how was your doctor appointment today?
It was good. The doctor looked at my ankle, so I didn't break it.
Oh, good.
But he said I did a good job spraining it, and he says he's going to get me another brace, so I'm going to have a set of braces on one on each leg. So
Okay.
now I'll be matching. I'll be on training wheels for the rest of my life
All
wearing
right.
braces, but that's okay.
Yeah. All
Don't
right.
want to fall.
Hey, listen.
So.
A sprain is definitely better than a break. Although, from what I hear, they can be sometimes more painful, but easier to recover from. So that's a good
Right.
thing. Hello, Vicky. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are
Excellent.
you?
I am fantastic. Happy to be alive another day, and happy to be roaming these TikTok streets unfettered for now. Although I hear some creators are saying that now that they found a buyer for TikTok, chances are they're going to start leaving and going somewhere else. My guess is they're going to go to things like Red Note or Favorited or who knows what else. Neptune is coming up soon, so we'll see what happens. But I wanted to reach out an olive branch, and I really mean this sincerely. I wanted to try to talk to a MAGA hat today, or more than one, and just try to understand their perspective without attacking them, without trying to prove them wrong. It's something different that I decided to do, and I thought about how Lincoln closed his inaugural speech when he became president, and the last paragraph is one of my favorite segments of any speech he ever gave. He said, "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union, when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature." I love that. I just like I'm a real big fan of how English is a very clumsy and ugly language in many ways, but if used correctly, it can be astonishing and beautiful, in my opinion. How do you feel about that speech?
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
have
it's
to
and it applies to now, right, Danny?
absolutely. I know we have it in ourselves to be better angels, to show more empathy and to our fellow human beings, uh, not just Americans, but all people on the earth. And we need to get for us that have it. God bless us, we have it. For those that don't have it, search for it. It's in your heart. You know, you weren't put on this earth full of hate and and selfishness and stuff like that. That is taught, and unfortunately, it starts at home. So let's let's get to it and find your empathy. Get us there.
You're here. Vespa, thank you for saying it was beautifully spoken. It's easy to make beautiful words sound good, but thank you so much. Mela says, we have no justice. Welcome, Mela. Randy French said Abe was a good guy. He did the right thing. I agree. And what's interesting is that he didn't particularly have any moral stance on what he did. He did it because it was the smart thing to do, but that doesn't take away anything, in my opinion, because America is what it is, and it was what it was. Let's see, Michael is requesting up. His icon looks familiar. Hello, Michael.
I saw him last night.
Michael.
Hey, what's going on, bud?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I only got on here just to say, hey, I love your humbleness, and I'm not gonna stay on here long. I need to go to bed, but I love the way you speak, and you're not preaching to people. You're just telling people how it is, and bless you, bless you, my friend, not brother. We, I don't want to go that way. Bless you, my friend, and bless you guys too. You two that's on the panel, y'all keep it up. But I'm gonna hop
I
off. I'm
I
gonna go to
feel
bed.
you, man, and I thank you very much for coming by. And I'm going to drop you down. I really appreciate what you just said. It truly touched me, and I hope you come back when you can. And I want everybody to understand um, what's interesting about what Michael just did. And I'm feeling emotional right now. I'm pretty sure I insulted Michael last night. Is he the guy I'm thinking about, Danny?
I don't think so. He was on another panel on derails last night, and he was pretty bad. He was,
Okay, so I think I'm remembering him correctly. And
yeah.
so this, you know what? I feel very justified in extending this olive branch to MAGA hats tonight.
Yep.
And Michael just really brought it home for me because, you know, part of my issue, I suppose, is that I've been a professional communicator since I was 20 years old. Now, I want to make it clear that I wasn't good when I was 20 years old. It took me about 7 years to really feel like I had mastery over communicating with people. And I had to, because I had to make a living communicating with people because I was in sales. And Danny, I know you know this very well because you did that in the military, and you did it at the highest level possible. And you know, you have to get really good at two things. And this is my opinion. And Danny, you could tell me if you agree or disagree, or a little bit of both. I think that in order to be a masterful communicator, the first thing that you have to get really, really good at is listening. And that's a mistake that a lot of sales trainers make, is they're all about teaching people how to pitch, which of course is important. You have to understand your side of the story. You have to understand how to communicate your product or services or both. You have to be able to answer questions about those things. You have to be able to overcome objections. I get that. But if you don't get very good at listening to what people are saying, you're not going to go anywhere. And the other thing you have to get very good at is hearing what people are trying not to say. Because, you know, the old saying is buyers are liars. So when you're sitting in front of someone, that person is guarding their peace. They're guarding their wallet. They're guarding the feeling of being taken advantage of by someone else. And as a result, they tend to be very closed off to salespeople, rightfully so, because unfortunately there's a lot of shitty salespeople out there, especially at the consumer level. When you get to the corporate level, it's a different world. But at the consumer level, there's a lot of like Shylocks out there. There's a lot of like con men and grifters and that kind of thing. The used car guy, the telemarketer, trying to sell you some bullshit. And so I get that people's guards are up when when I'm talking to them in a sales situation. So I have to get very, very good at hearing what they're trying to keep from me. And I know that sounds weird, but it is a skill that you develop over time. Do you agree, Danny?
Absolutely, 100%. And the biggest thing to most salesmen where they fail is that they're afraid of the word no. They
Right.
can't stand the word rejection. And all that is asking for more information. That's what they're
Yes.
trying. They want it. Otherwise, you're spot on everything else you said.
Excellent. Tank Haskell is picking up where he left off last night with the same rants, but thank you for being here. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm not gonna call what you're doing a rant. It just seems like you're spamming the the same kind of stuff that you said yesterday, but now you've changed your tune a little bit. You said, yes, it's called consultative selling. That's true. So, Tank, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to bring you up to have a real conversation. You don't have to accept, but I'm going to invite you. Okay. And I want to learn more about your perspective, and no one is going to attack you. If they do, I will drop them off the panel, and no one's going to mute you unless you say wild shit. So, all right, Tank, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm excellent. For TikTok purposes, even though I know the answer to this, are you at least over 18?
Yes. Yes,
Excellent.
indeed, I am.
Okay. So, last night you were asking these rhetorical questions, who loves this and that and the other thing and all that. So that's great. So it sounds to me,
Yeah.
and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you are a Dump supporter, correct?
Yes, I did vote for
Okay.
Trump.
Okay, excellent. So I want to ask you one simple thing. Traffic man dropped down, but now he's back. I want to ask you one question to start off, and none of this is gotcha. None of this is meant to embarrass. I just want to gauge your sensibility, if I may. Okay,
Yeah.
just like I allow everybody to gauge my sensibility. So, what in this administration are you not satisfied with?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I'll be honest with you. I think in the last uh, term, I felt that it was misguided to label bump stocks the way they did.
Right, and the Supreme Court eventually overturned that, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yep, the ATF was way off base.
right.
Anyone that knows what a bump stock is and thinks that it turns a weapon into a fully automatic weapon is delusional.
Fair enough. So that's the last administration, and I appreciate your honesty and your thought on that. So currently, since January, the guy that you voted for got in. Is there anything that he's doing that you're either dissatisfied with or unhappy with or completely disagree with?
Honestly, since January, I'm trying to think of something, and I'm having a hard time because honestly, I think most of his appointees have been solid,
Mm-hmm.
even though there's been a lot of smear campaigns against.
Oh, sorry, Vicky. I'm sorry. I accidentally disconnected you. Please ask again. I was scrolling through the controls and accidentally disconnected you. So there you are again. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please continue, Michael.
Yeah, no, honestly, I can't think of anything
Right.
off the top of my
Is
head.
there something that he's doing that you feel he's not doing enough of?
I think in the next 4 years, most of the campaign agenda will be fulfilled. Honestly,
Okay. And
so
all
let me
right.
ask you
So
a question.
in your before you get to your question, which I will happily answer,
Sure.
so what has he done so far that you feel benefits the majority of Americans? And
Yeah,
there's no
sure.
wrong
No,
answer to this. So
yeah, that's
whatever it
cool.
is you think is fine.
No, I absolutely love extending the 2017 tax cuts, which
Hmm.
helped almost every tax bracket across the board, even though a lot of mainstream media has lied about it and said that it just benefits the wealthy. I also agree with no tax on tips,
Hmm.
just like Kamala Harris agreed with.
Hmm.
I also agree with no overtime taxes, and no taxes on Social Security, folks. I know there's a cap, but still, I think it really helps, uh, middle America. It doesn't aim to help the wealthy.
Right. And what's interesting is when I look at the agencies that are nonpartisan that have been reporting on presidents for eons, when they look at the budget, they disagree with you, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong. That doesn't mean that your opinion's not valid. So, do you agree with what he's doing to immigrants?
You mean illegal immigrants?
No, that's not what I asked you. Do you agree with what he's doing to immigrants?
Okay, well, anybody that's here legally, amen. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anybody that
But
comes
he's
through the
not making
process,
the distinction that you are. So he is not only is he revoking legal status to huge swaths of people for no apparent reason, but he has already deported 10 American citizens and arrested many more than that. So even though I appreciate your sensibility, because I agree with you, legal all the way, anyone doing anything illegally, I want the law to deal with those people, including immigration. There is not one person that I have ever met in my entire life, and never on TikTok, including the panelists here tonight, that have advocated for illegal immigration. Everybody believes, if I may speak for everybody, that anyone breaking the law in any capacity, but especially with regard to immigration, needs to face the wrath of that law. But these deportations and these mass arrests, at first they were targeted, according to his campaign rhetoric, at people that were here illegally and doing violent crime, which by most estimations is roughly 10,000 immigrants. But it quickly spread way past that, and now people who have legal status have been arrested. So, and not given due process, which is very, very important, whether we like it or not, that is enshrined in the Constitution in not one, but two places, right? In the Fifth Amendment, the opening paragraph talks about the ability to face your accusers and how your property should not be taken without due process. And in the 14th Amendment, Section 1, it talks about how everyone on American soil, whether they are citizens or not, if you are here in America within the boundaries of America, you are due all the protections under the law, including due process. So do you feel that he has met that standard?
Can we establish a baseline?
We can.
Do you agree that coming across the border, not through a port of entry, just coming across the border, is a felony?
I agree it's a misdemeanor according to the law.
Nope. Coming across the border is a felony.
According to the law and according to a border agent that does lives, he read the law.
Border agent that
Okay,
does lives.
but now, okay, let's try to relax. Just
I
because
do
we're
disagree with
disagreeing
that.
doesn't mean that we have to now start interrupting each other. So
That's cool.
my understanding, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going by someone who did 10 years as a border agent until about 2.5 years ago. And he pulled up the current law, and I forget exactly what it is, a something or other. But he said that crossing the border illegally is a misdemeanor. If he's wrong, he's wrong. But whether that's the truth or not, that's not the question I asked you. So I'm going to ask it again. Do you think that what Dump is doing is meeting the standard of due process?
But wait a minute. We can't even move forward if we can't agree on the fact that there is a felony or federal
Fine,
law.
it's a felony. Okay, let's move forward now.
Okay, cool. So then everyone that comes across the border illegally is a felon.
But
what you
do
just-
do they deserve due process?
They get due process.
No, they haven't.
What? Let's establish.
Do you know what due process is?
Yes, of course I know what due
What
process
is it? What is it?
But the person that comes across the border illegally,
Is due process afforded
I
to
thought we weren't gonna
everyone
cut each
in
other off.
America? Because you're not answering my question. You're dancing around. So I'm going to give you another chance because I really want to hear from you, but you are being evasive. No offense, nothing personal. I'm just telling you what you're doing, in my opinion.
I don't take anything personal.
Have you read?
So
Have you read the
hold on.
13th Amendment?
Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. I promised him that this would be a one-on-one conversation. You weren't here for that part, so I understand your enthusiasm. So again, my understanding of due process is the ability to face your accuser, which could mean either have legal representation or a jury or just be in front of a judge for a hearing. So do you understand that that has not happened in dozens and dozens and possibly hundreds of cases?
Yes, but we also need to create another baseline here. Do you realize? Why are
No,
you shaking your head?
no,
No.
no, no. All right. Okay. I gave him a shot, folks. I gave him a shot to have a conversation, and he just didn't want to do it. But all right. So let me say hello to CompuBear. Let me say hello to Traffic Man. How you folks doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I was hoping you'd jump into my live earlier, but you didn't. But that's okay.
Don't always have time to do that. So
I know. I know
yeah.
you missed a fun live though. I just
Excellent.
non-stressful live, I should say. Um, but yes, thank you for being here, and thank you for the audience. And I'm sorry the guy doesn't want to listen to the law.
Understood. I'm gonna bring in someone else. Ghost. Hey, Traffic Man. How you doing?
Good. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm blessed to have another day of life, man, and I do not take that for
Absolutely.
granted. Because statistically speaking, 166,000 people left us yesterday, and I'm sure they'd want another day. So, folks, we are at 63 people in here, which is a nice crowd. Invite folks in. Let's get as many people. I'd love to see hundreds in here. Let's tap that screen, share the like, all that good stuff. So I blocked Michael because I just, he's not the kind of MAGA hat I'm trying to talk to. He's disingenuous. He wants to pretend to be ignorant when it suits him, and then pretend to be smart when he thinks it suits him. And I'm tired of MAGA hats like that. I want real conversations, and I don't mean I need you to agree with me. I go all day with people disagreeing with me. It's not a problem for me, right? I don't have that kind of ego. But let's stop pretending that the sun doesn't rise in the fucking east, okay? Ghost, how
Hmm.
are you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Um, Even though I was speaking to you, you said everyone. That's fine. You can blow right by me on that.
I
Just
didn't
kidding. I'm
want
just
anyone
teasing. I'm
to
teasing. So,
misunderstand.
for the purposes of TikTok, are you at least 18 years old?
I'm 21 years of age.
Excellent. So that is a resounding yes. What's on your mind?
My question to you is, when did the alarm bells start ringing? Because as the media reported over here, for us it was kind of during the election process and during the smear campaign of Vice President Harris. I don't know about America, but for us in the UK, the World War II is still very prevalent here. The effects, the damage, the losses. And so for us, during that election campaign, a lot of people were pointing towards not quite 1940s Germany, but late 1920s and the rise of that one moustache man.
All right, let's start from the bottom up to answer that question. I'll go last. Danny, when did the alarm bells start ringing for you? Excellent question, by the way.
My alarm bells went off in 2015. So I know that things weren't right even in the 2016 election, and then when he complained about the 2020 election being taken from him, and I knew that was a crock of BS.
Right.
And then this time, it was so much in our face that what happened in 2024 that I
Yeah.
know the rest of I know the
Can
UK
everyone mute
was
themselves up, please?
I
I
Oh,
know
couldn't.
you
Mine
could.
isn't muting.
Oh, really? Oh, let's see. I'll mute you. Okay, and I'll remember
UK
to
was definitely
unmute you later.
aware of it.
I'm sorry.
BBC
Say.
News.
Start that again, Danny.
I said UK was very much sounding the alarm. I listened to a lot of BBC News, and I listened to a lot of Sky News. That's two of the ones I follow over there, and their outlook of what happened in the last few elections here in the United States had been troublous, and they're also rightfully so. World War II, as we all know, was a terrible event that caused the UK a lot of carnage with the bombs, going off there during the Blitz, in that area up there, and then to still live with that terror that could happen again anytime in Europe, and with NATO so shaken of Trump that they have concerns, and that rightfully so. So
Right.
with my British friend at the top, I totally agree that he he should be scared. I'm concerned,
Sure.
and I've been saying it for a long time. So
Excellent. Well, Traffic Man, I'd like you to give your answer, and then I'm going to drop you down for a short period after that because AC is here, and I normally he comes and goes so quickly I don't normally get to invite him up. So go ahead and
Yeah,
give your answer.
absolutely. Okay, so oh, I would say his second time around, when his campaign started, and the reason I say that is the first Dump administration was terrible. Don't get me wrong, but it was just there wasn't the right people in place. There were still people that understood what America meant, kind of. You know what I mean? Even though that was very right wing leaning America, it was still he had people in place that he really weren't going to just give him all the cards. 2020, when we started seeing who he was surrounding himself with, who his advisors were, Project 2025. I mean, they spelled this all out. I mean, it's basically the Mustache Man's book, but modern day Heritage Foundation writing. That's when I was like, this guy can't be here. And I'll tell you, the pinnacle for that moment was two things. I believe that this country has actually seen its Reichstag moment, and that was in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I believe that the defining moment in his heinous immigration policy, which mirrors the 1930s Germany, was the day during the presidential debate when he said, "They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats." At that point in time, I
Yeah.
had no doubt in my mind that this man was portraying or trying to portray that anybody that wasn't blonde, that description, all that stuff. Um, that if you were not the ideal YT American that we think of in the 1950s, where dad's working on the car and mom's doing the laundry and all that nonsense, um, that you were less. You were less. You were not wanted in this country, and that's really when I was like, this guy can't win. And I mean, we're seeing the ramifications of that.
Yeah. Very true. Excellent points. All right. Hang in there. Stay in the chats. I'm going to bring AC up. And so go ahead, Vicky. What are your thoughts on that? When were the alarms started ringing for you? If I could say that again in English, but when did? Oh, well, I think I might have to invite you to unmute. So let's do that. So I've invited you to unmute.
Yeah, I don't know why.
There
It
we
was
go.
weird.
No worries.
I had a bad feeling in 2015, like a lot of us, and his extreme power grab, the executive order after executive order, and the sheer lunacy. And then 2020, whenever the insurrection happened and things started going south, and I knew that if he ever got a chance again, it was going to be really bad. And what did we do? But gave him another chance. And I know that in many ways he's nothing but the Heritage Foundation's puppet. He had the charisma that they needed to get the votes because for whatever reason people love him. I don't get it, but he opens his mouth and he spews number two, and people seem to think that it's worth bathing in and giving their hard-earned dollars to, and I just don't get it. But the Heritage Foundation is crushing this country. So really, honestly, I'd have to say probably for me, 2015, but for certain 2020.
Gotcha. CompuBear, I've invited you to unmute, so hopefully that worked.
Yes. So
Excellent.
the moment he came down the escalator, I went into panic attack. I was frightened from the very moment he took and started speaking that he was running. And then when he took Stephen Miller in the first election, during his first election, he took on Stephen Miller, and Stephen Miller was given a post in his first election. Stephen Miller, I have followed for over 25 years, and he put out a video 25 years ago that I wish I could find today and show it to everybody, because even 25 years ago is absolutely terrifying. And the point of the video, which it became Project 2025. It is what started Project 2025. It's what started the heritage. And in this video, they were talking about the fact that in 2030, there would be more people of color than there would be white people in America,
They're coming to
and
get you.
how this terrified them, absolutely terrified them, and what they needed to do to change that. And a lot of, and everything that's in Project 2025 are things like, putting women in their place, meaning having them have, white women particularly, having no autonomy and having more babies. And it listed everything step by step that they were going to do to change this country into a Christian national country so that they would have more white people and more power
Yeah, let's be
against
careful.
people
We
of
we
color.
TikTok doesn't like the
Yeah.
names of colors, so YT, please.
Okay. Um, and so, they were really frightened of this POC situation, that they were going to take over and white people would be put in their place. And this was a video that they did. It was kind of a cartoon type video. This was back when they were in college, Voight and Miller put together, that became Project 2025.
Sure.
When I read Project 2025, which was actually out during the first term, I read all 900 pages, and I actually downloaded it and read all 900 pages. And it was the most terrifying document I've ever read. It was worse than My Kampf, which I've also read. It is really that terrifying when you get into the detail. And to be honest, I have transgender children, non-binary gay children, and it specifically says in there that they want to make pornography a crime, jailable crime, and list being gay and transgender as being pornography. And when I read that, it terrified me beyond belief. And I
Yeah.
have been fighting this whole situation, trying to make people aware of Project 2025 ever since. But most people said, oh, he claims that he has nothing to do with it, which maybe he
Is
didn't,
complete nonsense.
but Stephen Miller did, and Stephen Miller has been his right-hand man all the way through. This is wholly put together with Stephen Miller, and it goes all the way back to that video. So that was
I
my
gotcha.
terrifying moment.
And before AC begins, I've invited you to unmute AC. But before you begin, I want to say two things. Number one, there were 140 something members of his first administration that were part of Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation had him as a guest very often. Project 2025, I believe, mentions him like 300 times. So it is absolutely laughable that he denies having any knowledge or part of it. The second thing I want to say is I'm building a list of parallels between the 1930s in Germany and now in America. One of the little known aspects of that, at least to me, was that there was this project called Action 4, which is Action 4, and it stood for the address Axion, I think, was a street or something like that, and um, it housed a building that Schmittler had signed off on, where an agency was responsible for getting rid of people with disabilities, right? And they did succeed in getting rid of something like 200,000 of them, which is just horrendous. So the parallels continue. AC, my friend, good to see you on here. How you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing all right. Just real quick, I have stumbled upon a news story from CBS Miami. It is confirmed that a call came from within the concentration camp to a girlfriend of one of the inmates or the persons held. They are not given water to bathe. Lights are on 24 hours a day. They're feeding them food that have maggots in them in the food. They are taking Bibles away from those religious folks and saying, "quote uh, You do not have the right to religion here."
Hmm. So religious persecution on top of everything else.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely, and
to
that's not even the most important part. But like, I
right,
want people to get this information out because it is. I mean, this is confirmation that people are being mistreated and that human rights violations are present in that camp.
yeah, and the only reason I threw in the religious persecution part, and it is secondary, obviously, but it's just an indication that they're just trying to run the table on all atrocities, you know.
Absolutely, it's the
But
gauntlet, man.
so the question was, when did the alarm bells start going off for you regarding the potential damage of Donnie Dump?
Um, I mean, I've always felt in my heart that he is an evil man. I have always been one to believe that every single woman that came out against him absolutely was credible, and that happened in 2016. So I've been fighting this guy for almost 10 years. Like I've been before TikTok, I was on Facebook, just trying to sound the alarms over there. But it was definitely when I knew this man was dangerous to this country, was when I read Project 2025. When I read that document,
Right.
I knew that this is going to turn into a authoritarian situation just by how they were wording what they planned to do, especially with rolling back education, rolling back healthcare. I mean, it is anybody that has read that document and doesn't believe it is an authoritarian playlist. I really need to get you to read it again.
Yep. Yep. So
Danny,
since we have almost 80 people in here, I just want to take a quick PSA. If you are not following AC from KTA, which is Keep Them Accountable, he's in the top box. You're wasting your fucking time on TikTok. Okay. You are not utilizing TikTok to its fullest potential. Danny in the bottom box, same thing. His lives are phenomenal, and I'm always thrilled to be part of them. CompuBear, you do lives also, correct?
yes, I do live, but
Yes.
my lives are more trying to find peace with what's going on and
Perfect.
how we can um, calm ourselves and find ways to deal with it on an individual basis as well as a group basis, but how we can support each other. So I'm trying to find the positives that we can find to overcome the stress and everything that this is causing us. But I also wanted to add in here the absolute detail of Project 2025 is the most terrifying part because it steps through everything, I mean, to the minutest detail of how they are going to do things. So if you read it, you will know what to expect. But it is the absolute detail of everything, every
Absolutely.
step, everything they're going to do.
And Quixote just made an excellent point. Welcome back, Quixote. What gets me is Dump making farmers responsible for workers on farms, just basic slavery. Yes, absolutely. Ghost, hopefully that answered your question, but I'm going to go anyway. I, like a few people have indicated in the chat and up here, was absolutely convinced that Dump was the modern day Schmittler in 2015. It only took the first speech that he gave on the day he announced, which I believe was May of 2015, that he was going to be running, or whenever it was in 2015. But that's when I said, wow, everything this guy is saying sounds exactly like the rhetoric from 1930s Germany. And, I don't think anybody has to be particularly smart to figure that out. Like, just go back and read the speeches. Hey, WKRP, I see you, brother. Glad to have you here. I don't suggest this because it's a very unpleasant thing to do. But if you want to see whether I'm right or wrong, if you want to verify my assertion, please. Here, I'll give you one speech to look up. 1927 Nuremberg. Please look up that speech. And you tell me if that doesn't sound like hundreds of speeches that Donnie Dump gave over the years. Because I say it absolutely does. And all you got to do is take out the word Jewish and put in the word immigrant or any other variation of the Browns scary people that he's trying to convince you of, and you'll see that it's the same speech. So, Ghost, did we cover that for you?
Yeah, you did. And I don't know if it's the same speech you're on about, but is it the first? It will be a different speech. For me, I read when I was 13, the first they came for the communists. Then they came
Yeah, that's a different speech for you. I think, was that Viktor Frankl?
I believe
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Yes.
That lined up a little bit too much for me in this, at the very end of his last term and the start of this campaign election.
Well, I can only imagine for Europe, it's still fresh in a lot of people's memories, literally and figuratively. My stepfather was Jewish, and he lost family during that time to that Reich, and these things are all very real for me. And so, whenever I hear anyone from any part of the world using that same rhetoric, and it begins by vilifying a group, right? By othering them, by using dehumanizing language, like calling them illegals, because that's what people do when they want to inflict pain and suffering on either an individual or a group. They diminish that person's humanity or that group's humanity or their right to live. They say things like they are poisoning the blood of our country. They say things like they live like vermin among us. This is the language that Donnie Dump has been using. I watched snippets of his campaign every day last year, and every single day he quoted propaganda from 30s Germany every single fucking day. So people that are like, oh, I don't see it, fuck you. Okay? If you don't see it, you're fucking either dumb or blind. I don't know. But either way, it's so obvious. And that's just one of many, many parallels. And I'm going to be putting together a video soon, the next couple of days, where I give my impression of the parallels that I'm seeing.
So I would like you to include the latest parallel was when Schmittler created his list of opponents that he wanted to remove. Trump has recently done that as well. And so we're now seeing that same parallel with Elon being on it, and the gentleman who ran for the mayor of New York is on the list, and Liz Cheney is on the list, and there's several other people. And this was the exact parallel to the list of what they call the Death Day. That's the English translation, but that was what it was called. Sorry, Unalive Day in 1934, and he went through and unalived 200 opponents on that day. And that was theoretically what people consider as the beginning of the end.
I got you. Does everybody see that new live goal up there? It's just 1 coin each. Anybody feels like contributing to that, that would be great. Another way of letting TikTok know that we are here. You guys are spectacular. We're up to 20,000 likes. We have 74 people in there, so it'll be very easy for us to double that in like probably 15 or 20 minutes, just because I figured out the math of how much people tap and how quickly we can get to certain numbers. So tap, tap, tap. Oh my God, live goal achieved. I barely finished talking and the live goal's done. You guys are amazing. WKRP, I see you out there. I know somebody else was waiting to come on, but we're out of space for now. So Eddie, how you doing, brother? Eddie, you there?
Pretty good.
There you go.
Couple of thoughts. Yeah, you can. You mentioned the history of this guy. I mean, politically, I feel like it started with Obama and the birther comments.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and then
that's what revealed his racism to the masses. But for someone like me who is a New Yorker, I knew about his racism for a long time because there were stories going on about this guy from every source imaginable that described his racist practices and his racist ideology. The fact that Nixon's Justice Department, I think, went after him in 1973, him, his father, and the dump organization for racist real estate practices, made it clear to everybody. And plus all the stories about wanting to clear his casino floor of any brown people when high rollers came by. He didn't want
Yep.
them to see any brown people there. And it's just after a while, like, the old saying that I joke about is if enough people call you a horse, it's time to buy a saddle. And just everybody knew, if you were a New Yorker, everybody knew who this guy was, right? So that wasn't a surprise. The birtherism thing is what announced him to the world, right? Because he was already,
Gotcha. Yeah.
famous from the show that he was on, and that bullshit show, which that's the first red flag, because he is the only developer in New York, and there are bigger developers than him in New York. No matter what the Dump family says, there's very few new buildings attributed to them. They basically just bought a bunch of shit, right? So when his dumb son says, "Oh, my daddy built the New York skyline," that is complete horseshit. But, we all knew. But then the world figured it out eventually, but not enough people. And the problem is that there's 77 million people that believe just like he does.
Right. Or in the case of this last election, the 1% of people who voted third party, who, if they had voted for Harris, would have been enough to sway it in our direction.
Yeah, the popular vote, but I don't think that would have made a difference. Because yes, and again, TikTok doesn't like us to talk about this thing, but apparently, Kamala would have received over $600,000 more apples than Donnie received back in November 2024. If, as you say, everybody just voted in one direction, And again, look. We can't saw the sawdust. We know that there's investigations that are going to prove what we already know, but they're not going to do anything. Nothing's going to change regarding
Right.
those
Even if they do
things.
prove it,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to reverse anything. So
Right.
What do
'Cause
we have to do? What do we have to get to get the 1/3 that did not buy apples to buy apples? I mean, what is it
Well-
going to take to get that 1/3
well,
to do
here's
something?
what it's going to take, and this is from the perspective that I described earlier on as a communicator. Number one, and I'm going to make it more fundamental than that. I was in an anonymous group for 6 years because of my love of street candy. Although that was secondary, it was mostly because I was a giant asshole. And I was 23 years old, and I walked into these rooms for the first time, and on the wall is the 12 steps. And the first step is, first you have to admit there's a problem. And this is the step that the Democratic Party is not doing. They have not admitted their mistakes, and they made many mistakes. And from a communication aspect, here's the first mistake that they made. Again, totally my opinion. When Donnie Dump announced he was running again in November of 2022, I would have loved to have seen the Democratic Party do the only smart thing that was left to do, which is within an hour put up a video that they had done 6 months previous preparing for this moment that announced Kamala Harris running. And the reason why that would have been significant is because he had 2 years to campaign. She had 3 months and 10 days to campaign. So they put her behind the 8 ball right away. And Biden fucked up because he let his ego get in the way. He started off saying he was a one-term president. So why were you in the debates? Why were you entertaining running again? Right? Get the fuck out. I like what you did, but you're old as shit and you're losing it and we can all see it. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not saying he has dementia. I'm not qualified to say that. I'm saying he was doing old guy shit and it wasn't working anymore. Okay? And so then I'll come to the second big mistake. Okay? Because I said this the other night and I'm going to keep saying it. Each campaign has one fucking job, and that is to convince people to vote for their candidate. That's it. That's the job. Nothing else, right? You have different parts of the campaign that are responsible for different things. Oh, we got to go beg rich people for money. Got it. Because there's money in politics in America and no end in sight to that. Okay, it would be great if it didn't exist, like it doesn't exist in other countries, but that's just not the American way, right? So you got people that have to beg people for money. Fine. They've got billionaires, we've got billionaires. So that shit is equal as far as I'm concerned, okay? And they did a terrible job telling the truth of the Biden administration's record, which was fucking spectacular. As much as I dislike the guy, the facts are the facts. Okay? And 2, what a phenomenally qualified candidate Harris was. Okay? I mean, it is laughable to compare these two people. Donnie Dump is a bag of wet cabbage compared to Kamala Harris on every fucking level, as a human being, as someone in politics, as someone with compassion, as someone with a real plan that's going to help the majority of people. Donnie Dump doesn't tick any boxes, right? So the fact that you had such a good candidate and you couldn't get the job done, I'm sorry. I'm not blaming the people that voted third party. I'm blaming the people that were supposed to entice those people to vote for their candidate.
Now, I have to tell you, I had a discussion with Kamala Harris's campaign manager, and I made it very clear to her that she needed to start doing more social media content, that she's needed to have people come in and address TikTok, especially the Gen Zs that were having discussions and having questions that needed to be answered by their party, that they needed to start doing more Instagrams, more, videos. And I was point blank told that that was a waste of their time.
Are
It's
you
just
kidding?
people
The
out of
fact that she
touch.
did as much as she did, probably why she did as well as she did is every time she did that stuff. Sorry, I agree with your point.
Yeah,
As well.
no,
And
she
so,
she
What I'm saying.
understands she understands media, right? She understands how to communicate. And again, anyone that's part of the campaign that suggests that social media is not a viable tool, fire them. They're out of touch.
I'm totally agreeing with you. That they thought going through standard old media should be enough, and it wasn't. And the interesting thing is, since the election and she lost, I've seen the entire Democratic, and I've talked to many of them, Democratic House and Senate, who have flipped on that completely, and now all have social media. All are posting social media, almost every day.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
2.5
flip,
years
but
too fucking late.
but it took them to losing it. But they did admit that was their mistake, that they should have spent more time on social media. So I want to say they are learning. They're just learning really, really slowly.
Yeah, but here's someone who isn't learning. Hell's Kitchen Vet, who has visited us before, unfortunately, and he's back, said, read Willie Brown's book. Why? They dated. He's 20 years older. It was consensual. Who gives a fuck?
Also, a MAGA supporter reading a book? The fuck? Bro, we know you didn't read
Also,
that book.
even if
You need to
anything
chill
we were
out.
implying was
Oh,
true,
I love you, AC.
we're comparing her to Trump. So Jesus Christ.
Yeah, AC, I'm jealous that I missed that low-hanging fruit, but you nailed
I
it,
was
brother.
hoping you were gonna snag it, bud. I was leaving it open for you, but you know what? I came in for the kill.
No, you were right to step in and grab that. I was slow on the draw. Well done. And I needed that laugh right then, so that was good. Oh, so
My
yeah.
last
So
question
just a
before
quick second, folks. There's 91 of us in here. Get me to 50,000 likes, please. I know you can do it, and I know you could do it in probably 15 minutes. It would be so easy with this many people in here. It's just a few taps away. You can do it. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. I am Yoddah. Some people call me Chocolate Yoddah because I do too sometimes. That is spelled Yoddah because film studios are litigious. And I am here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow me, like me, love me, hug me, need me. I'll take all of it. All right.
give someone else the space. Why? I can't remember what amendment it is, but there's something along the lines of you can have. I don't know how to say the word TikTok safe, but you can have something that makes a loud bang and pushes something out the other end of it
Right.
because of a tyrannical government.
Well,
Why is no one
Second
using that
Amendment.
to their advantage?
So it was never really about a tyrannical government. That's the kind of thing that's just propaganda from America, and we are full of propaganda here. That was a combination of a lot of factors, but to put it in context, the government was actually terrified of the soldiers because the government didn't pay the revolutionary soldiers what they said they were gonna. So they were looking for ways to protect themselves. And, the important part of that amendment is how it starts. A well regulated militia, right? The guys that get drunk and circle jerk each other in the woods in Michigan or wherever, they want to pretend that they're going to be a Red Dawn, civic army up against the government. That'll be the funniest 5 minutes of their lives if they ever really challenge the government, because the government can rain hell on you from fucking toys, okay? Because that's what drones are. They can strap toys with very, very loud, damaging projectiles and ruin your fucking day very, very quickly. So the fact that these guys think that they're going to take up arms against the government is fucking laughable.
Yeah, that's one reason why I backed off my high horse in the beginning. I was like, I sat down and thought about it. Drones can hit us from miles away, and we wouldn't
Without
even know
us
about
ever
it.
even knowing that it's coming.
Absolutely. So we can't just go and invade, or we can't just go and insurrect the Capitol, the White House, whatever, to try to pull him out. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to fucking do that, we can't.
But aren't we in the opposite situation, right? All of these people that thought that they were collecting these guns to or
Boom
pew-pews,
booms, pew pews. Yeah, sorry.
pew-pews to go up against the government. Aren't they the ones on the side of the government right now?
Yep.
And all of the people that said, "Oh, we don't need them. There are other methods," are now against it. And now we have this whole thing that took place in, I want to say, my park. I used to call it Pigeon Park when I was a kid growing up, but I spent a lot of time there. And they had this whole thing with the military coming in and I don't know whether it was a show off or they were, somebody recently said, well, is that the first step of civil war? when they have the entire military raiding a park like that? You know, isn't it us, the people who said we don't need the pew pews, the one that now need the pew pews to fight against the ones that had all the pew pews and are now on the side of this regime? I mean, I'm scared.
And by the way, I would not be at all surprised. I was talking to my best friend this afternoon about this, and he brought something up that I had never considered. You know, they're being very smart with how this horrendous bill is being rolled out, because the only thing that's immediate are the tax cuts, right? Thank you, Ghost, for being here. Appreciate it. The only thing are the tax cuts. The first damaging wave of provisions are going to start after the midterm, and the worst of the provisions are happening after the election in 2028. So you're going to get a bunch of MAGA hats for the next 3.5 years saying, "Oh, the bill passed, but nothing happened to me. I still have blah 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 blah." But they're gonna go away. But here's what my friend pointed out that I thought was brilliant. Once the MAGA hats figure out how badly they got fucked by this guy, I have a feeling that it's going to be their administration and their government that takes their pew pews away from them, because then it's going to be serious. So I have a new live goal up. This one's a little bit fancier. It's 10 coins each. So if you can spare them, fire away. For all of you that have not done the daily Heart Me, please do. When you do that, you actually get free coins for yourself. You actually can do a couple of tasks on there and get like 55, 60 coins. Kind of fun stuff. So anyway, yes. So let's see. I have not spoken to the chat in a minute. Not the flood victims in Texas who realized they said no sirens because of cost. Yeah, very true, Blue. And JK, how you doing? I thought the government would help them. Yeah. Yeah, but you got to remember, MAGA hats, just statistically speaking, on average, are lower educated people. And they're not going to figure it out, some of them. But, over the last 40 years, the Republican Party has decimated blue states. And I'm using the word decimated frivolously, but because it doesn't mean destroy. It actually technically means to reduce by 1/10, but they have devastated these red states. These people are the poorest, the sickest, the fattest, the least educated, the shortest lifespans. They're in real bad shape, and they keep rewarding the people that do that to them. It's terrifying. Island Boy Pundit, how you doing this evening, my brother?
Oh, you're talking about my topic.
Nice.
What
do you have to say?
A couple of videos about that today, last couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Can you get a little closer to your mic?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about the same thing I was talking about. I don't know. It's
Oop. He must have got a phone call. There you are. You're back. Yes. Yep, and you're gone. We're playing hide and seek. This is a fun game.
How do you feel about the fact that they are almost wanting to criminalize people who have college educations, demonizing people with college educations?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really, it doesn't seem like almost. I mean, it seems like there's a concerted effort to punish anyone who doesn't agree with them. And college students are low-hanging fruit. These are young people. Let's face it. Scientifically speaking, their brains are not even done forming yet. What are you so up in arms about what they think? What are you worried about? Let teenagers be teenagers, or people in their early 20s. Let them say whatever they have to say. They are supposed to be theoretically protected by the Constitution in terms of expressing themselves. I
But
mean,
even
free speech is not
even
absolute, but, for the most part, if you're just saying, hey, I don't like what my government is doing, that is literally protected in the Constitution.
no, but I find that I get demonized a lot from the MAGA people because I have 2 degrees, and it's like
They don't
it's
like
this
book
horrible,
learning.
right? It's like
They
this
don't.
horrible thing that I'm this horrible person. I'm this elite snobby person, and it's not. I just chose to have an education and to learn, and I'm going back to get my law degree now. So
Wow.
I haven't given up,
Good
right?
for you.
I'm
Yeah.
60
Good
years
for
old and
you.
I'm going back to get my law degree,
Yeah.
Good for
because
you.
I haven't stopped learning. But these MAGA just freak out about that. Like, why would you want to do that?
Well,
You
it
know
all
what's
comes
funny?
from the
Mm.
perspective that you approach life from, right? So there are right wing women that I have heard myself and seen in videos, in interviews, say women shouldn't be president. It's not right for a woman to be president, and look
Yeah.
at the demographic. When you look at the YT female demographic, they did a lot of damage this last election.
Oh, yes, they did. It was like a betrayal. I mean, it was like such a betrayal. I mean, and we know about these what were they called? These blue twine blue bracelets they had on here. Remember in the wake of the election?
I don't remember
It was
that.
a Yeah, it was like a lot of liberal whitey women were like, I was not one of those that voted for Trump,
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm one of the safe ones.
right.
And us black folk were like, we ain't trying to hear that. Take that stuff to your MAGA to your MAGA relatives, your MAGA friends who you kept quiet around, you know, to keep the peace at Thanksgiving and Christmas and at birthdays and July 1st Memorial Day barbecues. We take that to those people who you kept quiet around instead of challenging them on their racist and bigoted beliefs. You know, that's what we were like.
Well,
That's what
but
we were saying.
that's easier said than done, because I'm a
I know.
pragmatist, and even though I agree with what you're saying, I also understand that the most valuable thing for a human being emotionally is connection to other human beings. So people
Mm,
are rarely going to risk their network of people in order to take some kind of, either philosophical or moral stance. Even though I'm the kind of person who has been willing for the last 30 years to eliminate anybody in my life that disturbs my peace, including blood family. I only talk to my uncle and
mm,
a few of his children, my cousins. I don't talk to
mm.
anybody else in my family. And I have a brother who's 5 years older than me. I don't talk to him because he's a
You
negative
know,
person, and he disturbs my peace. And I
I have
have
to
I
say
have
one.
2 ex-wives that I removed from my life because they disturbed my peace. One of them I'm
Mhm,
very good friends with, and one of them I'm neutral with. We're not friends, we're not enemies, but
mm,
um, I am willing to preserve my peace, and I will not let anybody disturb my peace
mm.
out of nostalgia for our relationship. There's a woman on Facebook, and
Yeah.
I'll end with this point before you continue. Uh,
Mm,
I've known her since I was like 12 or 13 years old in junior high school.
mm,
I spent a
mhm,
lot of time uh, at her family's home, Jewish family, lovely,
mhm.
beautiful people. I met every member of their family. I spent an inordinate amount of time there when I was a teenager. I
Right.
adore these people. But one day
Right.
she put up some racist bullshit on Facebook. This was just a few years ago, and I said to her, like, are you sure you want to go with this? I want you to understand what this means to me. Are you really sure you want to offend me this way? You know?
Mm,
And she doubled down, and I was like, gone. You're gone. And I love her. but I'll never talk to her again.
Real
So
quick,
Well,
can
let
I
me
guys.
say,
ask
you know,
I
let me
just
say
want to say
something.
thank you, Yoda, for paneling me. I got to
Absolutely.
take off.
All right,
I
AC.
love
Always
Okay.
a pleasure to see you, brother.
your
People,
take.
follow AC, please.
Also
agree.
follow Yoda. This man is brilliant, and he has a great light on life. I swear, one of the most creative people that I have ever seen in my boxes, in my panel. So
Thank you,
this
brother.
guy knows his shit. Please follow him. Please support him. We need to put this man up on not necessarily a pedestal, but we need to bring him up so his voice is elevated.
Thank you,
We're
man.
gonna
Have a
need you
great night.
for real.
Oh
Hey,
man,
you
I'll
So
too.
tell
maybe
you, I'll tell you what. I cannot wait to see you next month, AC. I am going to hug you for an uncomfortably long time.
so. Yoda, I have
You
a
know,
question. Why
mhm.
why was the POC male demographic in voting for Kamala so low?
It actually wasn't that low.
No, it wasn't.
I know that's a popular talking point, but the numbers don't support that. I will say that what I'm disappointed about is the Hispanic population. Now, I will say this. Frankly, I know for a fact that there is no difference between black and Hispanic people. Like literally, there is no difference. Even though
Hmm.
it sounds like a joke, the truth is the only difference is where the boat dropped you off. Okay, that's it.
Hmm.
Okay, we all come from Africa. But if we segment the populations and call out the Hispanic vote, even though it was a majority at 56%, that still disappointed me. It disappointed me to know that 40+%
Hmm.
of Hispanic people voted for their own deportations.
It was
Yeah.
part of it had to do with the Cuban vote, right?
It had to do
Especially in
it was across the
It
spectrum of
was.
like,
Hispanics.
but there's
It
a
was
huge
across the spectrum. It was
right.
primarily men. Like
It,
the men more voted for Trump than they did for Kamala. It's
it,
not so much they love Trump, it's just that there's something in the Latino community, and you're the king, you can talk to this. Something called machismo, right? There's something called machismo. And of course, she's black. So
Yeah,
there's something about the elevada raza and the machismo, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And that's very
because
pervasive in a lot of Latin communities.
yeah,
Extremely
and I'll say
pervasive.
this divide between black and brown people is just ridiculous. And
It is.
my mother disappointed me. She passed last December, but
Mm,
one of the bones of contention that I had with her, and it was a long list of things that I didn't
mhm,
like about her. She was a terrible mother, in my opinion. But one of the things that was my biggest level of disappointment with her was that she was racist. She did not like Haitians. She did not like black people. My first ex-wife is a black woman, and she instantly disliked her for that reason. My second ex-wife is an Italian woman with fair skin, so she liked her automatically for that. And that's just disgusting to me. But that is very prevalent in the Spanish community.
I spoke to a lot of my Cuban family members until I was blue in the face. I mean, literally, like every family unit. Every time I talked to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law specifically, because he's Cuban, it was a fight because they were so afraid of, becoming a socialist party that they could not see themselves voting for the left socialist party. It terrified them. My father-in-law, in particular, he watched his father being shot, excuse me, unalived
Hmm.
by Fidel Castro.
Wow.
Uh, and his mother took him, he was 4 years old at the time, and his baby brother, and she put her jewels up her hoo ha and escaped out of the house as he was being shot, unalived,
Hmm.
and managed to hide away on a plane and managed to get dropped off in Florida. And so they're all part of this, community in Florida, all Cuban, and they were absolutely terrified if they voted for Kamala that we were then going to be socialists and this is everything that was going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Little did they know or understand, no matter how much I tried to talk to them, that this is exactly what they were voting for to happen. And they're now seeing it happen all over again.
And I'll tell you this, that's another excellent
It's so
example
sad,
of
man.
the power of propaganda, because Americans have been made to be afraid of something that has been part of their daily life for a very long time, and that is socialist functions of government. Okay, it's a long list. What we're doing right now, connecting on the internet, is a socialist service. Okay, anytime you use a GPS to find where you're going, that is a socialist service. The roads that you drive on, right? The sewage system, the electric grid, libraries, fire stations, police stations. These are, there's such a long list of socialist functions that make up our daily life in America, but because Americans, by and large, are too dumb to understand even the most basic things, they've been made afraid of the word socialism or socialist. It's just absurd. It's what sunk Bernie, because and that's one of the things I'm concerned about with Mamdani, is that he refers to himself as a democratic socialist, and I want to tell him, stop it. People, I mean, New Yorkers are probably sophisticated enough to understand this, but if he were running for office nationally, I'd tell him, get rid of that moniker immediately, because Americans are just not ready for it. But let me
You
quickly
know,
welcome WKRP. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, how you doing?
WKRP, how you doing, man? Welcome back. You
Hey,
know,
what's up? How's everybody
yeah.
on the panel? We're good.
We are. This panel is spectacular.
I
I'm
see, man.
getting jaded because I'm expecting them to be spectacular, and that's unfair of me. But they never disappoint me. These people just come up and just lay down just amazing information. I love it. So what's up with you, brother? What's on your mind?
Ah, man, nothing but had to come and just check you out. And man, I like being in the audience, as they say, just listening to everybody's advice and everything with how they see things are going. It's excellent. A lot of knowledge, and especially from you, my man,
Oh,
Master
thank you.
Yoda.
I can't shake this guy of the habit of calling me Master Yoda. That's so funny. But so I have 87 of 100 of my live goal. Anybody wants to knock those out? These are a little fancy because they're 10 coins each, but I'm sure this crowd can handle it. We're at 64,000 likes. Keep tapping away. Keep rocking and rolling. Island Boy Pundit had to probably disappear for a minute. But anyway, oh, he's back. So, what else is on anybody else's mind? What's going on? Let's go
I
from
want to
Danny up. Danny, what's going on? What are you thinking? I'm loving this conversation. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, I was kind of glad and surprised at the same time that AC knew my subject for tomorrow is the poor conditions of the plantation down there in Alligator Alley down there.
Great minds think
Uh,
alike, man.
I'm telling you, but that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow is the inhumane conditions that those people are being put through, the taking away of Bibles. You can't even pray to your God while you're in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Lights on, it's and maggots in the food. I just can't cockroach. I just can't. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow.
Jesus
Great
Everybody,
Christ.
topic. Great topic.
Oh my
everybody
God.
on the panel is doing an excellent job of talking about the convicted felon in the White House, and it's when that other gentleman was up here and he was saying how much illegal aliens were felons because they crossed the border, but then I wanted to come up and say to him, and you voted for one, so make that make sense to me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So
I was
anyway,
doing my best to communicate with that guy, but he just made it a stupid conversation. Like, let's just, I mean, and I'm going to work on this because I have a visceral hostility toward MAGA hats because MAGA hats have been making my life difficult for over 50 years. Okay. When I was 9 years old, I moved into an all white neighborhood, and it was awful. And I experienced some horrifying things, and it was for a prolonged period of time. I had to fight my way out violently very often, and I definitely had PTSD as a result for many years after that. Thankfully, that's all done with, but I still react to that sensibility, that heartless, compassionless, brainless sensibility that very often they bring to any topic. And so tonight was my first attempt to try to be better and try to extend an olive branch out. And I hope I get better at it, but I did my best with Michael. I really, I refrained from reacting to the dumb shit that he was saying and just kept trying to coax him into having a real conversation. And I wasn't able to do it. And I'll take responsibility for my half of the conversation, but he was being a douchebag.
I got one thing I want to bring to you. As I made a couple of videos about it tonight. So there's been something I've seen going around on this within today and yesterday. Yesterday I ignored it, but I was like, okay, that's got to be a one-off. But I saw more of it today. And so I have to say this. The MAGAs are actually saying and implying that some of them have ran AI on some of Schmittler's speeches, right? And from the translation they got from the AI, they don't think Schmittler was all that bad.
Well, you know,
Some of them
he did have a
actually
dog and
said
a girlfriend, so you know.
they
Holy
don't have no
shit.
problem with what he was
I came
saying.
across that same thing for today for the first time, and it blew me away. Basically, it was they
Yeah,
were
let me
hearing the
finish. Yeah.
English translation essentially, and they
Hmm.
were like, "This guy's not half bad," and it's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, but let me finish now. Let me finish now.
Sure, go
So
ahead. Yeah.
they were saying like, oh, maybe we were on the wrong side in the war. That there to me blew my mind. I was like, y'all have got to be shitting me. And you know what's worse? You know what the implication is? And I made the implication, but they were saying he's not so bad because and some of them one of them actually slipped up and said it. And I was just like, there you go. He
Well,
sounds like
let
Trump.
me just tell you
They
something.
said
You
Mittler
obviously
sounds like Trump.
you obviously have not been listening to the Joe Rogan show for the last few years. Every other guest that he
Oh my
has is
God.
saying the same shit. They're trying to make it out that what happened in Germany in the
Ah,
30s was not so bad, and you know,
oh my
maybe
God.
Schmitty had a point. All this horse shit. Oh, another live goal
Wow.
Well, the other
achieved. You
thing they
guys are
started saying about a
fantastic.
year
Thank you.
ago was that we're actually too democratic here. That oh, democracy is not actually such a good idea, and crap like that.
Oh, wait, hold on. Peter Thiel had an interview, and the journalist asked him a straightforward freaking question. And dude never answered the question. He went like, pause about what do you want people to have rights, human rights, everybody. He was like, Peter Thiel.
That doesn't
Who
surprise me
basically
at
wrote
all.
the
He's a reptile.
I'm
handbook
just
of
like,
stuff they're following now? Yeah.
Yep.
but you see, the thing that bothers me, right? It's like, I admire you, Yoda, for even trying to talk to them. But at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Y'all need to stay the fuck out of my.
Do you feel that Fox News is making them more discompassionate?
No, it's
Is
not
it
just Fox
making?
News.
It's the whole ecosystem. It's the whole
But
ecosystem.
I'm
It's
saying,
not
but
just Fox News. Let me explain
it's
something to you. It's not just Fox News. And I've talked about this before. There's something about the like it's wrapped up in whitiness. But let's be frank. Like they will go wherever gives them the reaffirmation of whitiness. Fox News is gives a source of that for them, so they're going to go there. Like Bull Connor back in the day was a source for that, so they went with him. Barry Goldwater back in the day was a source of that, so they went with him. You know what I'm saying? It's whomever gives them that reaffirmation of the kind of foundational bent of whitiness is what they go for, and it's been a foundational problem in this country. You know, it's
But
like,
I
I
find that
mean,
Fox
and
News in particular
Fox Fox
is
News,
makes
yes,
fun of people, and they go to extremes to make fun of people, and they are just creating this entire generation of people who have no compassion anymore. Right? They've lost their compassion. They've lost their feeling that life means anything. That a life means anything. It's like the whole
I want Yoda to speak to it, because Yoda has spoken eloquently about, I've dissected that particular specific thing you've spoken about. I've talked about it too, but I love hearing how Yoda talks about that, because
Hmm.
that shit is like, it's old. Fox News is relatively new, considering, but it's something that's been a problem in this. And I'm a history buff. I've looked back at the media environment from the 19th century and the 18th century, and it's the same basic current running through it. You know, it's like this crowd, I don't know, this ginning up of this jingoistic whitey supremacy. You know what I'm
Island,
saying?
can I
And it's
make a
really,
quick point?
Yes,
mhm.
please.
You're absolutely right about Fox, but my problem recently is the left wing outlets, because they're not calling these people on it. They're repeating their
And
points
I'm gonna tell
without
you why.
questioning it.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Shoot.
Again, it's tied to whitiness. They do not want the left establishment is constantly pining, hoping to bring back home the MAGA folks, hoping to bring back over these conservative whitey people, right? Who left them
It's
decades
lost
ago.
cause.
Yeah,
But I'm saying it's just like
that could
there's
be the
something.
reason. I'm not
It's part of
sure.
it. That's
I'm
part of
not
it.
sure. I'm convinced that that's the main thrust of it.
Hmm.
I think it's a part of it for sure. Um, my opinion on mainstream media on either side is that it's useless. It no longer
It is.
serves the function that it was designed to serve. You know, journalism, from my understanding, is the only industry originally mentioned in the Constitution, because the
Fourth
idea
estate.
is that journalists had to answer the question of who watches the watchers, right?
Hmm.
Because
That's right.
the
That's
forefathers,
right.
as
Exactly
flawed
right.
as they were, understood that there had to be checks and balances, and those checks and balances could not be exclusively within the government. There had to be
Hmm.
something outside of the government that
Right.
was a conduit between the government and the people. And
Hmm.
that's the role that journalism was meant to play.
The
But
fourth estate.
in the
Yeah.
last few years, and I would say at least since 2015, journalism began miserably failing America. I mean, it started long ago.
When
Edward
the
R.
famous doctrine
Murrow
died.
uh, absolutely warned us about this in
Yep.
1958.
Yes,
Okay,
he did.
you can look up. It's a long speech, but it's, and I'm speaking as a public speaker, that it's one of the most brilliant speeches I have ever heard. It is worth every minute that you invest in hearing the English language used to utter perfection. Okay, he explained the dangers and the decline that journalism was going to face if it allowed money to poison it. And it did.
Hmm.
Every single thing he
Hmm.
warned about was
Yes.
starting to happen in 1958, but it's been happening since then. But for recent times, if you go back to 2015 and 2016 and see how these fucking journalists bent over backwards to platform a complete fucking buffoon and
Hmm.
legitimized him in the process. That's why we
Hmm.
had this clown twice, because any other responsible journalistic arm would have looked at him as they did in the past and said, "Are you fucking kidding? Go sit down. Let the adults handle shit." Okay? But suddenly it
You
was like,
know,
oh, because he was part of The Apprentice, now
yo,
because he's famous and he's a household name, now we owe him news coverage. Bullshit.
Yoda, I remember going absolutely ballistic with people and on Facebook, especially doing live streams on Facebook and going ballistic on people. Like, what the fuck are you guys? I'm like, why the fuck are they following this guy around his campaign platforms? Bobby Jindal is having a campaign rally, and there's no live stream coverage, but they're following Trump around. Like, come
They
on, he
filmed
got
an
millions of.
airstrip for a half hour before he arrived.
Yes, that's the kind of shit I was talking. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be bad. I was like, this man is a charlatan, right? I listen. I personally met people in my line of business who used to be family business owners, right? They did work for Trump, and now they're out in the private sector as employees, no longer business owners, because he basically said, "Oh, I don't like what you did. If you want to get your money, sue me." And so their family business died. He has done that to literally, I'm not even exaggerating, hundreds of small businesses over the
Oh,
decades.
you're wrong. It's
Exactly.
actually thousands.
Okay, okay. That
Wow.
shit. No, literally, he had like people, let me tell you something. There have been stories, right, where small business people, right, like pump up their money. And the patriarch of the business or the matriarch of the business was so ashamed of what happened to them. They made sure they paid their employees a good severance and everything. And then they went home, put a pistola in la boca, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that there is one story that I heard that confirms that. And the amount originally was the guy was supposed to get paid $5 million,
Hmm.
and it took him years to get his settlement, and it was a little less than half of that amount. And by then, this guy was deep in debt because he was counting on that $5 million. You know, when you build
Hmm.
something for someone, you have to pay for the material first, and you have to pay for your labor. That's why they take a 50% deposit just to offset the price of that. So you're out of
Hmm.
pocket, right? So when you finish a job, you're expecting to be paid so that you can make everybody whole,
Make your
including
vendors whole,
yourself,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So the fact that he did that to thousands of people, I mean, this guy has so many civil lawsuits against him. At
Hmm.
last count, I think it was something like 2,600 lawsuits against him. And, you know, he has the money and the resources to outlast you. And just
Keep
and
appealing. Keep
this is
appealing. Even if
anecdotal.
he loses, he
Dude,
keeps
I
up.
got to mute you for a second. So this guy um, uh, has I've met three people, three men in my personal life, three men who did not know each other over a 30-year period, who all told me the same exact story. Okay. They said, I did work for him. One was construction, one was billboards, one I think was an electrician. And this was the story. I did work for him. He refused to pay me. He brought me into his office and showed me his team of lawyers and assured me that he could keep me in court for the rest of my life. All three people told me the same exact story. Okay, so I know it's anecdotal, but add that to the thousands of other people that said that, and you start to get a picture of who this piece of garbage is. So I see, hold on, I just saw someone here. Oh, Riot Maker, where are you, Riot Maker? I don't see her
So
in the
I guess that's my
comments.
point of,
He wants
do
them
you
to work for
think that
free, I
people
guess.
are becoming less compassionate? Are we losing our ability as a society to be compassionate? Are we losing the belief that people, no matter who they are, just people's lives are important as lives, right? Are we losing that?
Well, I think compassion is one of those things where I don't think Dump made anybody lose their compassion. I think Dump just exposed the people that don't have it, right?
True.
Because, we say that
True.
the people that we vote for, we sort of say that they represent us, right? And you know what, WKRP, I know you said you wanted to be in the audience, so I'm going to drop you down for a second and see if I can get Riot Maker up here since I haven't seen her in a minute. So, Riot Maker, I'm inviting you up. Hopefully, you can come up. Always a pleasure to have you. But yeah, like I think if you are someone who has a lot of hate in your heart and very little compassion, and you look at groups of people and you judge them as being inferior or whatever, or a threat, whatever fucking weird fever dream that you have about these people that some of whom, by the way, you've probably never met. There are people talking about border issues who have never been near the border. There were people, if you remember Charlottesville in 2017, these people that went to Home Depot and bought tiki torches and were rolling down the street saying Jews will not replace us. I guarantee you most of them probably never met a Jewish person. There's not that many Jewish people in America, and most of them are concentrated in New York City. In fact, New York City is either the number 1 or number 2 city in the world for the Jewish population. So these people in Okie doke dumb Fuckistan never even met one, and they're like, oh, they're not going to replace me. So this is, I don't think Dump invented anything. I don't think he created anything. I think he simply gave people a home for their hatred and their bullshit.
I agree. Definitely agree. As I said in the chat, people in New Jersey, like there's one lady that works at the grocery store where I shop. Nice lady. She says hi to my kids when I come and they're shopping with them. And I just happened to mention something to her in the lead up to the 2024 election, just in passing. And this woman went on and on about the border. And I was like kind of shocked, and I didn't want to be rude because we normally had a nice, polite relationship. But in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're in New Jersey. New Jersey's not a border state. What are they gonna do? They're gonna do dodge the great white sharks in the Atlantic to get here? Like like what are you talking about?
But that's the power of propaganda.
Oh my god, man. We only have Atlantic coast. Like there's nobody coming here. Like come on, man. There's no illegals coming out of the ocean like Prince Namor.
Very true. Very true.
And on that, I had a conversation with my sister today. My sister is a non-voter. She does register, which is stupid because she hates to get called for jury duty, but she's a non-voter. And all she could say is she kept blaming Biden on bringing everybody in, all the open borders, come on in, come on in, come on in. And I was like, Diane, that's not what it was. He was trying to get people who were seeking asylum. And we argued for 30 minutes about the immigration situation and how it's not just come in, sign a piece of paper, and you're granted a green card and you get citizenship. She doesn't understand how it's upwards of 10 years and thousands of dollars. And you have to have sponsors. And it's just the ability of some of these people that just, it's mind boggling. And so then they say, well, they didn't do it the right way. Well, they're doing it the best way they can. And these people are doing everything. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a totally different
No,
tangent,
please go
but
ahead.
it just, I tried to explain to her, that, these people have come in, they have got their green card. They went through the steps and some of them are going through, seeing the immigration courts, going through everything that they need to do up until the final stage. And oops, we're going to deny that. You walk out and then they're getting snatched. It's just, I am so angry every time I hear stories like that. I mean, I live in a little freaking, well, not, I mean, it's a freaking city in Arkansas. You know, I am so worried about my community. And, I even sent an email to our information officer of the police department saying, okay, where the fuck do you stand? I want to know where my police department stands when it comes to ICE. Are you going to go out there and start arresting people? Or are you going to be, taking care of the citizens and let ICE do whatever they're going to do? I don't want to support my police department if that's what they're doing.
I feel you. Eddie, do me a favor. Repeat what you just said in the comments.
About immigration court?
Born on the border state.
Or before that?
Born in one
Yeah,
border
I was born in New
state.
Mexico, so I lived 20 years there and then 30 years here in Texas. And for the most part, the actual dynamics of the number of people coming across, how the legal status, the degree to which the border should be considered open or closed, none of that is really changed in that period of time. Politically speaking, it becomes more or less of an issue, but the actual dynamics have not dramatically changed.
I know. See, that's what's crazy is she lives in Houston. And she reads Facebook or she reads the book. And so people, and I'm like, Diane, you've got to get your head out of the sand. It's, I can't even, she's like, can we even have a conversation now that doesn't circle around to politics? I said, no.
So I worked at the border for 5 years on the Mexican side of the border during COVID. And so a lot of the people were stuck at the border in border towns along the border because of COVID. Trump had declared for medical reasons that nobody could cross. But a lot of people had already crossed from Central America and Southern America countries. And in most of their cases, they are not, most people assume that they're ignorant and that they haven't had schooling and et cetera. And I could go down the list. But what I discovered in working in these camps and helping feeding them in these camps during COVID is a lot of them are things like, I don't know, lawyers, doctors, nurses, they're accountants. They've gone to medical school. They've gone to college. They have degrees. It's not, but we're told and that these people are just, kind of farm workers, etc. And the problem is during that time, many of these people had to go to work in Mexico as farm workers in order to survive until Biden could open the borders again and they could get through on asylum visas because they left their countries because of the wars, because of the gangs, because of the rapings. One family had every one of his daughters and wife raped and felt he had to leave his country even though he was an accountant because of the gang problem. So these people are truly leaving their properties, their everything, to come across a huge amount of land to get to a border that they think they're going to be safe or at least be able to request asylum. And they were stopped and then ended up having to work for 19 cents an hour and live in sheds that were literally made out of cardboard and plywood for those 4 years. And so when Biden did open the border, these people were finally allowed to come out of these almost slave situations working in Mexico to hopefully have asylum. And these are the people, they set up a website, which was amazing. and people were signing up on the website, and they were coming in their slotted times, getting their hearing dates, going through the entire process that is legal for asylum.
Exactly.
And yet they think there's these hordes of people coming over, and they think they're like gross people, but they're people. They're well educated people.
Exactly. Quick PSA. We are at 88,000 likes and we have 49 people in here. Please, we could easily get to 100,000 likes, probably in 5 or 10 minutes. Just keep tapping away. I know you guys are really into the conversation. You get distracted and forget to tap. That happens to me all the time. Please tap your screen. I muted a few people just because there was some background noise coming on, but of course, when I call on you again, please feel free to unmute. But I want to direct my attention to Gregory Jones, who is, to his credit, a very consistent MAGA hat propaganda parrot, because every time he makes a comment, it's just a regurgitation of what Donnie Dump has said. So, in all caps, Gregory says, Dump's winning. Isn't that spectacular? Gregory, I can't invite you up because your profile doesn't let me. But if you want to come up, I'll have an easier time making fun of you face to face than trying to react to the silly things that you type. But I'll accept you up if you request up. So yeah. So anyway,
Hey,
I think
Yoddah.
we've seen I'll make this one quick point. From the
Mhm.
last few comments, it's clear how powerful propaganda is, because what everybody is reporting is the effects of propaganda. Fear about the border is baseless. There is nothing happening at the border. Nothing. It's the
Exactly.
same that has always happened at every border in every country. Some people go one way, some people come another way. Okay, that's it. And the thing that is particularly ironic to me about America is that we have this statue in New York Harbor on Liberty Island that invites the world to come here. And we promote ourselves as the greatest country in the world. You know, come here, we'll feed you, we'll take care of you, we'll give you opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get here, they treat you like shit, exploit you for your labor, make you pay into the tax system, and don't allow you to benefit from the systems that you pay into, right? But, and that's the whole point, the whole reason why it takes years and years and years for people to get legal status in America, something that, by the way, could be done in 2 to 6 weeks. Okay? The reason why it takes years is because there are big businesses out there who love cheap labor. Okay? And they're those big businesses that now you see their CEOs in government and making contributions and propping up the very people who want to try to scare the shit out of you that the brown boogeyman is coming. They're coming to take your jobs. They're coming to ruin your daughters and your wives, blah, blah, fucking blah. It's not a crisis. The border is an issue, and it can be an easily addressed issue. It's not complicated. Manpower and technology. End of fucking story. That's it. That's all it would take to handle the situation at the border. We have someone that wants to come up. Jay Villa. I don't remember. Jay is loading up. Hello, Jay. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you
Excellent.
tonight?
I'm wonderful. Just because we don't know each other for the purposes of TikTok, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah, I'm 40.
Excellent. What's on your mind?
I'm listening to you talk about this, and about I would say a month and a half ago, a YouTuber flew down to South America. He went through the Darien Gap with the they call them camiontes, which means the walkers, people who are walking from country to country. And so he videotaped this passageway that most of these people that are coming in there, and you see the people are Asian, they're African, they're from all over the world. They're flying down into South America, and the lure of America has caused, I would say, devastation to the forest, the rainforest, uh, the trash, the dead bodies, the
Unalived.
and all,
Sorry,
okay,
there's there's TikTok words you can't say. Sorry.
unalived people in the middle of the rainforest where no city officials or government organizations going to come out and clean that up. And so all along that way, through the Darien Gap and up to the southern border, are little colored tags that they have to follow along this path. And if they get off that path, the cartel comes and gets them. And so the cartel is facilitating this passage. And, have you ever seen like old World War II video where the military has come through an area with their tanks and all the soldiers, and it's muddied and low down in a valley where they've come through? That's essentially what 10 million, 15 million people coming through the Amazon has done to the Amazon down there.
That makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah,
And
so that's another tangential issue in all of this is that
right.
it's causing devastation to the environment. Sure, that
Ecological
definitely makes sense.
devastation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this guy, his channel is called Bald and Bankrupt. He travels all over the world, but he thought he would just go and he would go fly himself into the southern tip of Southern America, and then come up through a couple different countries. And all along the way, you have these NGOs that are set up to help these people out. And there were times where he sat down by a river and said, look at these people. There's a mother carrying her baby going up this 60-foot cliff to get to the other side of this place, and I could barely do it myself.
Right.
And he saw people get washed away in the river that he was traveling with.
Yeah, for anybody
Yes.
else that wants to find this person that you're referring to, it's at bald.and.bankrupt. I just found him. Thank you for that recommendation.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Because there's we see it on the news, and the news is going to tell us so much. But if you find somebody like that that's actually went down there and videotaped the realness of it, you probably get a different perspective about it.
Yeah, no, that's what we need. We need to bring the reality of this into the light because the propaganda has completely mangled this story. It's everything that these people, these talking heads on television are telling you is a lie. They are outright lying about the border. It just isn't the thing that they're talking about at all. But thank you so much for coming here and sharing that information with us. I appreciate it. And of course, you're welcome anytime. I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thank you.
I want to just say how desperate people must be to have to carry your child through all of that he just described. How desperate you must be to go through that to be, and actually it really works out to, only a handful of people actually make it all the way through, right? From what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Only a handful of people. So how desperate must they be to take that chance to be one of those handful of people to make it all the way through, and then to get turned away when they get to our border, to not even be able to ask or have a hearing or to explain to people why they did what they did is just very, very sad. And I want to throw out the statistic that 90% of the drugs that come across by American citizens. That's
Of
an
course.
actual fact.
Of course.
And it's not these people who have gone through all of this to do that.
And again, that's part of the equation that doesn't get discussed enough is that there's a reason people are coming here. And most of those reasons are not casual and fanciful. They are running for their
No, they're
fucking
not.
lives.
Can I speak to like the okay, my experience coming here as the immigrant on the panel here is not, I mean, it wasn't as terrible as that, but at the same time it wasn't snow bunnies and chocolate, you
Yeah.
know. It
Traffic
wasn't
man,
like
thanks for
that.
coming by, buddy. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Sorry, please continue.
yeah, yeah. The process come here, I mean, you get background checked up the wazoo. It's very invasive in meaning that they you have to get blood tested, physicals, all kind of things like that. You have to come in for regular interviews, regular check-ins and stuff like that. Okay. All right. And you can't travel, you can't leave the country. There's certain things you can't do. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, some of the officials you have to deal with are very disrespectful, and they humiliate you a lot. They talk to you very disrespectfully. They humiliate you a lot. And every couple of years, at least when I was going through it, some one of them will get put in jail for soliciting sex from the people they're supposed to be helping,
Tale as old as
particularly the
time.
women. You know, and I mean, for me, it took me 15 years, 15 years to become a citizen. 15, 15 guys. All right, and it was not easy. I mean, there's just no reason. Sometimes they push you up. Sometimes you're ready for your interview, and for no reason they just say, no, you're not gonna have your interview today, and you get pushed off, and it's 3 years later. So you're in languish. You're here languishing. You have to renew your green card or your work permit. In the time that you're just languishing. You don't know when they're gonna call you. They just do that to you. You can't plan your life. You can't do anything. And it's not easy. People think it's easy, and the I mean, you get checked out. Like, they call your home country, they check you out.
Yeah.
It's not easy to become a resident in this country. The way they talk about this open borders, like you can just walk into America
It's all
and
rhetoric.
and
It's
be
all
think
bullshit.
it's bullshit.
Let me say
It's
I
this
agree.
bullshit.
to your comments and to everybody else's comments. Let's just call this what it is. This is exploitation at a massive scale.
Yes, it
Okay?
is.
Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's a corny saying, but it's fucking true. And it is not surprising the degradation that people have to go through just to save their lives. Okay. These are people, again, most of the time, the vast majority of people that are coming here are coming because their life is on the line. Their country is being torn apart by conflicts, whether it's governmental, whether it's street candy dealers trying to take over a region, whatever it is. It's brutal.
Rampant corruption,
Living
like in my
in a
case.
third world, my family comes from a third world country. And on the other side of the Dominican Republic is Haiti. So believe me when I tell you, I know what the third world looks like. And it is brutal in some cases. Like even in my original country, the Dominican Republic, the level of poverty there is not what Americans understand as poverty, because you could have a cell phone and be homeless in America, right? You could get 3 square meals a day even if you're homeless in America. And please, this is not to minimize that experience at all. It's horrific. But in other countries, when they're talking about poverty, it has a different meaning. That's a level of poverty that is brutal. That's a level of poverty that shortens your life dramatically. So yes, if you are a mother or father and you have one or more children and you are trying to escape the ravages of the country that you live in. And here's America saying, hey, come to us. We're the best. We're the greatest. We're the most wonderful. Come to this country. You're going to take them up on it because the propaganda and the marketing is so good that you're convinced that this is the solution to your problem. And then you find out that you have another set of problems once you get here. And this was before this horrendous administration started hunting for people. That was always the reality of the immigrant experience in America. And the reason why businesses can exploit them so easily is because they're afraid to be deported. So they know, because some of these business owners have literally told them, well, you're going to take $2 an hour, and if you don't like it, I'll send you back to where you fucking come from. Okay? That is the reality
Yes, they do.
of life
I've
in
seen
America
that.
as an immigrant. It's not easy, folks. So these people that want to act like these immigrants come here and suddenly they're skipping down the street and enjoying all this money and all these privileges, they have no fucking idea what they're talking about.
It's a lie. I mean, it's a lie. I've seen, huh, oh my God. I have some stories, man. I don't want to talk too much about that
I
stuff on
gotcha.
the thing.
Well,
I
we're
mean,
we're
it's
about
bad.
to wrap up. I'm amazed. This is the first time that I've hit over 100,000 likes. So my sincere thank you to everyone that did that. All of the people in the chat who've been hanging in here for the whole 2 hours, thank you. If you're just here a few minutes, thank you. All of the people that gave gifts and that tapped away, I appreciate it. Everybody, every single one of you that came up on my panel tonight, absolutely spectacular. Thank you so much for the generous use of your time and the wisdom that you impart. I will never get tired of it. I will always appreciate it, and I will always make note of it. You all have become my circle of people that I rely on TikTok, and it is very comforting to know that you are out there and we are all like-minded. With that, hey folks, let's remember Danny goes up tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, adjusted for your time zone. He is the OG of this whole crew. He is our grandpa. We love him. And Danny, I'll give you the final word, and then we're going to close out.
I want to say one thing to Danny. Uh, on his topic tomorrow, I will definitely be there because one of the things I want to point out is the mosquitoes are so bad that it's caused so many open wounds, and it turns out they have no medical facilities there at all, which is a violation of several of the Supreme Court rulings already.
And probably
Um,
dozens
and
of laws.
and I'm willing to bring those
International
out
law
if
on
anybody
top
has
of
any
that.
questions. So I just wanted to throw that out there for Danny.
All right, cool. So as
Thank
Danny
you,
speaks, I'm
Councilman.
just going to say good night to everybody. So thank you for being here. I'm going to drop you down. Go ahead, Danny.
I want to say that you did in 2 hours and 13 minutes, took me 5 hours to do. And you beat me by 5,000 likes. I
Jeepers.
am totally happy for you.
Thank you.
I think that you're amazing. Always said you're amazing. You're a very smart person, and I'm honored to be your collaborator. That word, big word,
Collaborator. Yep.
collabor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be your. I'm proud to be your friend. I
Thank you.
I have I said from Jump Street that you're the professor. I know that you don't have a doctor's degree, you don't teach in a university, but you teach here on the TikTok streets, and you also coach,
Yep.
and that's a big thing. So I am so proud of you. I want to say congratulations on your achievement tonight. It was monumental in all measures, and I hope that you and I will both be able to do this again.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Especially, I mean, you have a good crowd and a lot of people that come into your life, come into my life.
Yeah.
So they have overworked the last couple of days. They've
Yeah,
outperformed immensely. And I
unbelievable.
thank you on behalf of Yoda and myself. We thank you for all your support. You guys are the best group of people that we could ever know. And we hope that you keep coming back. Just remember, I'm on for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific. It's Keep Them Accountable with Grandpa Danny. Mondays and Wednesdays is current events. And Friday, oh boy, Friday is Trivial Pursuit.
Trivia.
It's Casual Friday. So make sure that you wear your casual clothes and enjoy on planning on being with us. So thanks a lot, Yoda. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
You should be totally proud of your
I am.
achievement tonight.
I am. Thank you so much, Danny. Have a great night. Now, I'll tell you what makes my chest swell with unimaginable pride is to have the respect of a man like Danny. Um, I don't have the words as a professional communicator to fully explain the feeling that I have in my body to be associated with a man like Danny, to have his respect, to respect him so much. It's just amazing. So, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that consistently participates in my live, that passes through, that gives gifts, that gives taps, all that stuff, that shares the like. It means the world to me. It really does. It's very validating because, TikTok can feel like screaming into the void very often. And you guys make me feel like my time is well spent. And with that, I'm going to say good night, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you guys soon. See you tomorrow night on Danny's Live and then me again, 10 p.m. Eastern. Take care.